Lily's heart froze. For a moment, she thought she was imagining it. The rain hissed around them, bouncing off the metal lid of the dumpster, and then she heard it again, that thin, trembling cry that seemed to beg for help. "Grace," she whispered, shaking her younger sister awake. "Do you hear that?" Grace blinked, her small face pale under the streetlight. "It's a baby." The two girls exchanged a terrified glance before Lily threw aside their makeshift shelter and waded toward the sound. The smell was unbearable, rotting food, wet paper, the sour scent of decay. But buried beneath it all was a small cardboard box, soaked through and trembling with faint movement. Lily hesitated only for a second. Then she reached in. Inside lay a baby girl, her skin cold and lips trembling, wrapped in a torn pink blanket. Her tiny hand was clutched around a silver bracelet engraved with delicate letters. Too fine, too precious to belong here. "Oh my God," Lily breathed, pulling the baby close to her chest. "She's freezing." Grace covered her mouth, tears spilling. Who would throw away a baby? The sisters had seen cruelty before. Hunger, humiliation, the indifference of people who walked past them every day. But this was different. This was the kind of pain that silenced even the storm. Lily tucked the baby under her coat and ran to the small abandoned bus stop nearby. Grace followed, slipping on the wet pavement, clutching their few possessions, a half-eaten piece of bread and a broken umbrella. They sat under the shelter, huddled together, the rain still pouring around them. Lily tried to warm the baby's tiny body with her hands, rubbing gently. The little one whimpered but didn't open her eyes. "We have to get her help," Grace said. Lily nodded, though fear crept up her spine. "If we go to the police, they'll think we stole her." The sisters had no home, no documents, no one to vouch for them. They had been living on the street since their parents died in a fire 2 years ago, forgotten by everyone except each other. Grace sniffled, looking at the baby. "Then what do we do?" Lily stared at the bracelet glinting faintly in the dim light. It had letters carved into it. E.M. Maybe this bracelet could tell them who she belonged to. Maybe it could help them save her. "If we find out where this came from," Lily said slowly, "maybe we can find someone who cares about her, someone who'll take her in." Grace frowned. "But how?" "We'll figure it out," Lily said, determination lighting her face. "We always do." They found an old cloth to wrap the baby tighter, using it as a sling against Lily's chest. All night, they took turns keeping her warm. Grace whispered lullabies she remembered from their mother. Lily prayed silently that morning would come soon. By dawn, the rain had stopped. The city began to wake. Shop shutters creaked open. Buses rumbled by, and the streets filled with people rushing to work. But no one noticed the two poor sisters sitting quietly at the bus stop, guarding a sleeping baby as if she were a treasure. When the first ray of sunlight touched the bracelet, something caught Lily's eye, a small emblem engraved beside the initials, a delicate crest of a swan, its wings open wide. "I've seen this before," Lily murmured. Grace leaned in. "Where?" "There's a big house near the old park," Lily said. "One of the ladies, there was a necklace with the same design." Grace's eyes widened. "You mean those rich people? What if she belongs to them?" Lily finished, voice trembling with both hope and fear. Grace bit her lip. "Do you really think so?" "I don't know," Lily whispered. "But we can't just sit here. She deserves to live. And maybe if we bring her back, they'll help us too." For the first time in a long while, a flicker of purpose sparked in her chest. Not hunger, not survival. Hope. She stood up, clutching the baby protectively, and looked toward the rising sun that bathed the city in soft gold. "Come on, Grace," she said. "Let's go find out where this bracelet came from." Grace nodded, her small hands trembling as she reached for Lily's arm. "Okay, let's bring her home." They walked barefoot through puddles, each step uncertain, but the baby's quiet breathing against Lily's chest felt like a promise. As they turned onto the main road, Grace looked back once more at the dumpster, the place where everything had begun. "If you were there in that moment, what would you have done?" the narrator whispers. "Be honest. Comment your answer below. And if words fail you, just hit like to prove that compassion still matters. The sisters walked until the city softened into quiet neighborhoods lined with trees. Their bare feet slapped against the wet pavement, and the baby slept soundly against Lily's chest, her tiny breast fogging the fabric of Lily's coat. The bracelet kept glinting, silver catching sunlight, a reminder of the mystery they carried. By the time they reached the park, the sun was already high. Grace's stomach growled. She pressed a hand over it, embarrassed. Lily noticed but said nothing. They had grown used to hunger. But this time, it wasn't just about them. In front of the park stood the mansion Lily had spoken about. It was enormous. White walls, marble steps, windows trimmed in gold. Behind black iron gates stood a world they'd never been allowed to touch. Grace's voice trembled. "Lily, what if they don't believe us?" Lily adjusted the baby gently. "Then we keep trying." She paused, watching a guard near the entrance. If she really belongs here, they'll recognize her bracelet. Grace's gaze shifted to the baby's wrist, where the silver band shone in the daylight. The initials, EM, looked even more delicate now, like a secret whisper of truth. They waited until a woman in uniform, perhaps a maid, walked toward the gate carrying a basket of flowers. Lily stepped forward quickly. "Excuse me." The woman frowned, startled by the sight of two ragged girls. "What are you doing here?" Lily's voice shook but remained steady. We found a baby. She was left in the trash near the old station. We think she might belong to someone here." The maid blinked, confusion crossing her face. "A baby?" Grace stepped closer, revealing the bundle in Lily's arms. The maid gasped, hand flying to her mouth. "Oh heavens! Is she—" "She's alive," Lily said quickly. "We kept her warm all night. But please, look, her bracelet." The maid leaned in, eyes widening at the sight of the emblem. Her voice dropped to a whisper. That's a Morgan family crest." Lily's heart skipped. "So she belongs here." I don't know," the woman stammered. "Wait here." She rushed back toward the mansion, her footsteps echoing across the marble path. Minutes felt like hours. Grace sat on the curb, her small hand shaking as she tried to calm the baby, who had begun to stare. The cries drew curious stares from passers-by, some pitying, some judging. Lily ignored them all. Her focus stayed on the tall doors of the mansion. Finally, the maid returned, this time with a man in a dark suit and an expression carved from stone. He looked important, maybe a butler. He eyed the sisters from head to toe, his gaze cold. "You claim you found a child." "Yes, sir," Lily said, clutching the baby tighter. "She was abandoned in a box. We think she might belong to this house." He studied the bracelet, his jaw tightening. "Wait here." He disappeared again, leaving the girls outside in uneasy silence. Grace whispered, "Lily, what if they think we stole her?" Lily glanced down at the baby's innocent face. "Then we'll prove them wrong." Suddenly, the doors burst open again. This time, a woman came running out. Her elegant dress flowed behind her, eyes wide with disbelief. "Where is she?" The butler pointed toward Lily. The woman's gaze locked onto the baby, and her breath hitched. My God! She fell to her knees before them, trembling. "That bracelet! It's my daughter's." Lily's throat tightened. "Your daughter—" The woman reached out, tears spilling down her cheeks. "She was taken 3 days ago. We thought she was gone forever." Grace covered her mouth, sobbing softly. Lily gently handed the baby over, and the woman clutched the little one like her life depended on it. "My sweet Emma," she whispered, "you're safe now." Lily stood frozen, unsure whether to feel joy or loss. The woman looked up, eyes shimmering. "Who are you girls?" "We're just sisters," Lily said quietly. "We found her." The woman's lips trembled as she whispered, "You saved my baby." For the first time in days, the sisters smiled. Small, exhausted smile filled with relief. "Please," the woman said, rising. "Come inside. You must be freezing, hungry." Before Lily could answer, Grace tugged her sleeve. "Lily, should we?" Lily hesitated. Their instinct was always to flee, to avoid places they didn't belong. But something in the woman's voice, that gratitude, that softness, made her heart ache. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't danger. Maybe it was Grace. They followed her through the gates. The warmth of the mansion wrapped around them like sunlight after the storm, the scent of flowers, the hum of life, the clink of porcelain. Grace's eyes widened at the chandeliers, Lily's at the sheer silence of a place that knew comfort. A doctor arrived soon after, checking the baby. "She's weak but fine," he said. "You brought her back just in time." The woman looked at the sisters, tears shining. "If not for you, I would have lost her forever." The butler cleared his throat. "Madam, shall I call the authorities to reward them properly?" Lily stiffened. "No," she said quickly. "We don't need money." Grace looked up at her, surprised. "Lily." Lily shook her head. "We just wanted her safe." The women stared at them, their thin arms, muddy feet, and the quiet strength in their eyes. Something broke inside her, a guilt she couldn't name. She knelt again, voice trembling. "You have hearts purer than gold." Grace bit her lip, fighting tears. Lily managed a faint smile. "Have you ever had someone help you when no one else would?" The narrator whispers softly. "Right, yes, and tell me their name. Maybe gratitude can travel further than we think." The aroma of freshly baked bread filled the air as a woman, whose name they soon learned was Elena Morgan, led the sisters into a grand dining room. Sunlight spilled through tall windows, washing everything in golden warmth. Grace's eyes followed the shimmer of crystal glasses and the soft gleam of polished silverware. She had never seen so much beauty gathered in one place, not even in her dreams. "Please," Elena said, motioning them to sit. "Eat. You both must be starving." Lily hesitated. The plush chair beneath her felt too soft, too pure for someone like her. Grace, on the other hand, couldn't resist. The moment a warm roll touched her plate, tears filled her eyes. She ate slowly, almost reverently, as though afraid the food might vanish. Elena watched silently, her heart aching. She saw more than two poor girls. She saw innocence bruised by life. When the doctor finally left, declaring baby Emma out of danger, Elena turned to Lily. "You said you found her in the trash." Lily nodded. "Last night, it was raining. We heard her crying." Elena pressed a hand to her mouth, horror flickering across her face. "God, how could someone—" She stopped, voice breaking. "My husband has been searching day and night. We thought she was gone for good." Grace looked up timidly. "How did she get lost?" Elena sighed, her voice trembling. "She was kidnapped. A ransom note came, but before we could deliver the money, the kidnappers disappeared. The police found nothing. It was as if she vanished into thin air." Grace's fork clattered softly against the plate. Lily froze. "So, someone took her, and then—" "Threw her away," Elena whispered, her eyes glistening, like she meant nothing. The silence that followed was heavy, the kind that hurts even without words. Elena reached across the table, gently touching Lily's hand. "But you found her. You gave her life again. I'll never forget that." Lily didn't know what to say. She just nodded, throat tight. She wasn't used to being touched gently. A few minutes later, a tall man with tired eyes entered the room. Richard Morgan, Elena's husband. The moment he saw the baby sleeping peacefully in Elena's arms, his breath hitched. He ran forward, dropping to his knees beside her. "Elena, she's home." "She's home," Elena whispered, tears streaming down her face. He kissed the baby's forehead again and again, murmuring her name like a prayer. "Emma, my little Emma." When he finally turned to the sisters, his gratitude was clear. "You saved our daughter. You're the reason my family is whole again." Lily shifted uncomfortably under his gaze. Anyone would have done the same. But he shook his head firmly. "No, many would have walked away. You didn't." Grace smiled shyly, crumb still on her lip. She was crying so loud. "We couldn't just leave her." Elena stood, eyes full of warmth. "Please, tell us about yourselves." Lily hesitated. She wasn't used to people wanting to know. "We don't have a home. We used to, before." Her voice trailed off. Grace, ever the honest one, whispered, "Our house burned down 2 years ago. Our parents didn't make it." Elena gasped softly. "Oh, sweetheart." Lily swallowed hard, trying to keep her composure. We've been together since. We survived, just the two of us. Richard and Elena exchanged a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. The pain of losing a child, they tasted it for 3 days, but these girls had lived with it for years. Elena brushed a tear from her cheek. You must stay here for now, at least until we can make proper arrangements. Lily shook her head. We don't want to cause trouble. You won't, Elena said gently. It would mean the world to us. Grace tugged Lily's sleeve. Please, can we stay? Just for one night. Lily sighed. How could she deny her? All right, she whispered. That night, for the first time in years, the sisters slept in real beds. Soft blankets, warm light, a roof above their heads. Grace fell asleep instantly, but Lily lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The mansion was silent except for the rhythmic ticking of a clock. The sound felt strange, calm, not cruel. She looked at Grace's peaceful face, then at the bracelet resting on the bedside table. There was something about it, something she couldn't shake. The swan emblem caught the moonlight, glinting faintly. Beneath the engraving of E.M., she noticed tiny scratches, like someone had tried to carve something out. Her brow furrowed. What was hidden there? Down the hall, a faint sound. Footsteps. She froze. The creak of a door. A whisper. They'll find out. Lily's heartbeat quickened. She rose silently, stepping to the door. Voices, muffled but urgent, drifted from the corridor. We can't let anyone know how she really ended up there. Her blood turned cold. Now it's your turn. Share one small good thing you did recently. The narrator murmurs gently. Write it below so others remember that humanity still lives. Your story might light someone's path tonight. Lily pressed her ear closer to the door, fear clawing at her chest. If the police start digging again, we'll lose everything. The voice hissed. The other answered, lower, calmer, but chilling. Then we'll make sure they don't. Lily's breath caught. Someone in this house knew the truth, and it wasn't what they'd told her. Lily stood frozen in the hallway, heart hammering so loud she feared they would hear it. The soft glow of a chandelier spilled over the staircase, casting trembling shadows along the corridor. Her bare feet made no sound on the carpet as she leaned closer, every nerve alive. 2 figures stood near the end of the hall. The butler, Mr. Hayes, and a woman Lily hadn't seen before. She wore a long black coat, her voice low but sharp like glass. She's back now. The family's happy. That's what matters, the woman said. Mr. Hayes frowned. And the girls? They know nothing, she snapped. 2 beggar girls. No one will believe them even if they did. Just keep them quiet. After tonight, they'll be gone. Lily's breath hitched. Gone? The woman toned, her heels clicking against the marble. Lily ducked behind the corner just in time, her pulse racing. When the hallway fell silent again, she crept back into the room, closing the door soundlessly. Grace stirred under the blanket. Lily? What's wrong? Sure, Lily whispered, kneeling beside her. Someone's lying. Something's wrong about this place. Grace rubbed her eyes. What do you mean? Lily hesitated, choosing her words. They said they can't let people find out how the baby ended up there. Grace's sleepy face turned pale. You mean they're bad people? Lily didn't answer. She looked again at the bracelet gleaming faintly in the moonlight. I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. She tucked the blanket around Grace. Stay here, no matter what. Then she slipped into the hallway once more, guided only by the thin thread of moonlight through the tall windows. Every creak, every sigh of the house made her heart skip. At the far end of the hall was a study. The door was ajar, and faint light leaked through. She pushed it open just enough to peek inside. Stacks of papers covered the desk, police reports, newspaper clippings, photographs of baby Emma. But one document made Lily's throat close. Adoption agreement, confidential. The paper bore signatures, Elena Morgan's and someone else's she couldn't read. Beneath the legal words was a chilling note scribbled in pen. Transaction complete. No investigation necessary. Lily's stomach turned. Transaction, she whispered. What does that mean? Her hand trembled as she flipped through more files. Another folder contained invoices, payments labeled care fee, confidential handling, transfer of infant. She nearly dropped it. Transfer of infant. Before she could think, a voice cut through the air. What do you think you're doing? Lily spun around. Mr. Hayes stood in the doorway, face hard as stone. I was just looking. You shouldn't be here. His voice was calm but deadly. Those papers aren't for you. He stepped closer. Lily backed away. You lied, she said. You all lied about how she was taken. His jaw tightened. Go back to your room, child. Tell me the truth, she demanded. For a moment, his eyes softened, regret flickering like dying light. The truth won't help you. Sometimes lies protect the ones we love. Lily's voice broke. You left that baby to die. He flinched, then stepped aside. Go, he whispered, before they hear you. She didn't wait. She ran, through the hall, down the stairs, back to Grace. She locked the door behind her, chest heaving. Grace sat up, frightened. Lily. Lily dropped to her knees beside the bed. We have to leave, Grace. Now. But why? They are not who they seem. The baby. She wasn't kidnapped. She was bought. Grace gasped, covering her mouth. No. She was stolen from someone. And whoever took her, they tried to get rid of her when things went wrong. Lily's voice cracked. We can't stay here. Grace began to cry softly. But what about the lady? She was nice. Lily shook her head. Maybe she doesn't even know. She looked at the sleeping baby, innocence wrapped in quiet breath. The thought of leaving her behind tore Lily apart, but staying could mean worse. We'll wait until dawn, she whispered. When the gates open. The night stretched endlessly, filled with the ghost of raindrops against the window. Lily sat awake, staring at the bracelet now resting in her palm. She traced the swan emblem, feeling the tiny scratches beneath. With a fingernail, she rubbed at the metal until something faint appeared, letters beneath the engraving. Her eyes widened. It wasn't just E.M., it had once read E.M.A., maybe Emma-A. But the last initial had been scraped out. Why would someone hide her real name? She murmured. The question hung heavy in the dark, unanswered. By morning, the sisters were ready. They slipped out quietly, carrying the truth like a secret flame. The front doors were still locked, but through a side window, Lily saw the back garden, the fence low, the grass damp with dew. She turned to Grace. We can make it. They pushed the window open, heartbeats quick and loud. Grace climbed out first, barefoot in the wet grass. Lily handed her the baby next, then followed. The sky was turning pale when they reached the fence. Lily helped Grace over, but before she could climb, a voice stopped her. Where do you think you're going? Lily turned. Elena stood by the doorway, eyes wide, confusion first, then hurt. Lily, why are you leaving? Lily froze. You wouldn't understand. Try me, Elena pleaded, stepping closer. Lily's throat tightened. The baby, Emma, she's not yours. Someone took her from her real mother. Elena's face went blank. What? Lily held out the bracelet. Look closely. The name was changed. Elena's trembling fingers touched the scratched silver, her eyes widening with dawning horror. If that moment hit you hard, leave a red heart hash. Sometimes one little symbol says what our hearts can't. Elena whispered, Who would do such a thing? And before Lily could answer, the butler appeared behind her, his voice cold and final. She's telling the truth. For a long, shattering second, silence filled the air between them. Thick, heavy, impossible to breathe through. The morning sun had crept high enough to spill gold across the garden, touching Elena's trembling hands as she stared at Mr. Hayes. Her voice barely found itself. What did you just say? The old butler's face, always composed, broke like glass. I said she's telling the truth. Lily's breath caught. Grace, clutching the baby, looked between them in confusion. Elena took a step forward, her voice shaking. You told me she was kidnapped, that someone demanded money. I lied, he whispered, his eyes downcast. There was never a ransom. The baby, she was brought here. Elena's voice rose, desperate. Brought? By whom? Mr. Hayes swallowed hard. Your husband. The word struck like thunder. Elena stumbled back, her hand covering her mouth. No, Richard would never. He would. The butler said quietly, shame in his tone. You were told you couldn't conceive again. He saw what it was doing to you, how it broke you inside. So when he met a woman willing to sell her newborn for money, he made a choice. Elena's knees nearly gave way. Lily rushed forward, steadying her by the arm. Please, Lily whispered, you didn't know. Tears rolled down Elena's cheeks. Oh God, all this time. I thought she was stolen, that she was taken from me. Mr. Hayes looked at the ground. When the woman tried to take her back, he panicked. He ordered me to get rid of her. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I left her by the station, hoping someone kind would find her. His voice cracked. And you did. Grace gasped softly. You saved her twice, Lily. Lily shook her head, overwhelmed. No, we just did what anyone would. Elena stared at the baby now stirring in Grace's arms. So small, so innocent. She's been living a lie because of me. Her face hardened suddenly, jaw trembling. Where is he? Mr. Hayes flinched. Inside? He doesn't know I've told you. Elena straightened slowly, eyes no longer filled with fear but with something sharper, resolve, than is about to. She turned and strode back toward the mansion, each step more certain than the last. The sisters followed, hesitant but unwilling to leave her alone. In the grand hall, Richard Morgan stood by the piano, talking on the phone. When he saw them, confusion crossed his face. Elena, what's wrong? She didn't answer. She held up the bracelet. Do you recognize this? He frowned. Of course, it's Emma's. Her voice broke like thunder. It's not Emma. It's someone else's baby you stole. Richard froze. What are you talking about? Don't you dare lie to me, she screamed, the fury and heartbreak of years boiling over. You paid for her. You made me believe she was ours, that she was kidnapped. You let me cry for days while you hid the truth. He looked toward Mr. Hayes, whose expression said everything. Richard's mask crumbled. I did it for you, he shouted back. You were breaking. Elena, you wanted a child so badly. So you bought one, she cut in, voice trembling. From a desperate mother. He lowered his head, guilt heavy in his tone. I thought if I gave her a better life, it wouldn't matter. It does matter. Elena's hands shook violently. A lie built on pain can never hold love. Lily, standing near the doorway, felt her chest tighten. She could see both sides, the desperation, the love, the devastation. Elena's voice softened into something fractured. Who was her real mother? Richard hesitated, then whispered, a woman named Anna Reyes. She lived near the harbor. I gave her money. She never came back. Lily's breath caught. The name sparked something deep in her memory. She'd heard it once, in the shelter where they used to sleep. A woman who lost a baby and never spoke again. Lily stepped forward, her voice trembling. I know where she is. Richard turned sharply. What? She's at St. Mary's home, Lily said. I remember her. She used to sit by the window every night, crying into an old baby blanket. Elena's eyes widened. Then we have to tell her. She deserves to know her child is alive. Richard's voice broke, desperate. Elena, please, if you tell anyone. She turned to him, fury replaced by something colder. You're afraid of losing your name. I'm afraid of losing my soul. Be honest. Could you forgive after what they did? The narrator asked softly. Type forgive if you could, or never if it would break you too deeply. Elena wiped her tears, her decision made. She looked at Lily, her voice steady. We're going to find her. Lily nodded, her heart pounding. Grace clutched Emma tighter. Behind them, Richard's voice cracked like glass. If you do this, I'll lose everything. Elena turned one last time, eyes full of quiet fire. Then maybe it's time something real begins. And without another word, she walked toward the door, toward the truth, toward redemption. Lily followed her into the sunlight, the baby's bracelet glinting like a tiny shard of hope. The drive out of the city was quiet, the kind of silence that hums louder than words. The mansion shrank in the distance as Elena's car rolled through narrow streets lined with gray buildings and morning fog. In the back seat, Lily held the baby close while Grace stared out the window, eyes wide and tired. Elena's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. The truth had carved something out of her, leaving behind both pain and strange freedom. "All these years," she murmured, almost to herself, "I lived in a lie made of love. I don't know what to feel." Lily's voice was gentle. Sometimes truth hurt before it heals. Elena met her eyes in the rearview mirror and gave a small nod, a fragile acknowledgement. They reached St. Mary's home, a weathered building near the harbor, its faded blue sign swaying in the wind. The place smelled faintly of salt and medicine, and the sound of seagulls carried across the sky. A nun greeted them at the gate, her face kind but weary. "Good morning, sister," Elena said softly. "We're looking for someone named Anna Reyes." The nun's expression changed, surprise, then sorrow. "Anna, she doesn't speak much anymore. She stays by the window most days." "Please," Elena whispered, "can we see her?" The nun nodded and led them down a long corridor that smelled of disinfectant and old paint. The walls were lined with photographs, forgotten faces, lost time. At the end of the hall sat a woman by a window, her frame thin, her hair streaked with silver despite her youth. She was staring out at the sea, her hands resting in her lap, holding a piece of pink fabric, a baby blanket, frayed at the edges. Elena hesitated, then stepped forward. "Anna!" The woman didn't turn. Lily took a step closer, voice trembling. "We brought someone you lost." Anna's shoulders stiffened. Slowly, she turned her head. Her eyes were hollow, the kind of emptiness that comes from too many sleepless nights, too many prayers unanswered. Elena motioned for Lily to bring the baby forward. The blanket slipped from Anna's fingers as Lily gently placed the sleeping child in her arms. For a moment, Anna just stayed, breathless, disbelieving. Then her hand began to shake. "Emma," she whispered, the word breaking like light through darkness. The baby stirred, making a soft sound, a small sigh that shattered the room's stillness. Tears flooded Anna's eyes. She pressed the child to her chest, sobbing into her tiny shoulder. My baby, my baby." Elena's lips trembled as she watched, tears welling despite herself. Lily looked away, her heart heavy yet full, the kind of ache that feels like peace. Grace clung to her side, whispering, "We did it, didn't we?" Lily nodded slowly. "Yeah, we did." After what felt like hours, Anna finally looked up at Elena, confusion and gratitude colliding in her expression. Who are you?" Elena stepped closer, tears shining. "I'm the woman who loved your child like she was my own, but I think she was always yours." Anna shook her head, sobbing harder. "No one ever told me where she went. They said she died." Elena knelt in front of her, taking her trembling hand. "She almost did. But these girls found her. They saved her. They gave me back something I didn't deserve." Anna's eyes moved to Lily and Grace, who stood silently, unsure how to react. You found her?" Lily nodded. "She was left near the old station. We heard her crying." Anna clutched the baby closer, her voice barely a whisper. Thank you for bringing her home." Lily smiled faintly. "She's safe now. That's all that matters." Elena looked between them, the mother, the saviors, the baby, and felt something inside her shift. The guilt didn't vanish, but it softened, replaced by something purer, the need to make things right. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. "This is for you," she said to Lily and Grace. Lily shook her head quickly. "No, we don't want." "Please," Elena insisted. "It's not payment. It's a start, a way out." Grace's small voice broke in. "A way out." Elena smiled through tears. "You shouldn't have to sleep on streets when you have hearts like that." Lily looked at the envelope, then at the baby, then back at Elena. "We'll take it," she said softly, "but not for money, for a promise that you'll make sure she grows up knowing the truth." Elena nodded. "I will. I swear it." Anna held her baby close, whispering something only mothers can say, a sound made of love and disbelief and forgiveness. Outside, the clouds began to break. Light poured through the windows, soft and forgiving. If you believe love still wins, the narrator whispers, comment Amen. Let's fill this section with hope. Maybe someone scrolling right now needs to see it. Lily felt the warmth on her skin and turned toward the window. Grace slipped her hand into hers. They didn't have much, but they had what mattered most. And for the first time in forever, the world didn't feel cruel. It felt possible. The sun was climbing higher now, painting the harbor in streaks of gold and rose. The sound of the waves brushing against the rocks echoed softly through the corridors of St. Mary's home. It felt like the world had exhaled after a long, heavy breath. Anna sat by the window, rocking her baby gently, humming a tune that had once been silenced by grief. The melody floated through the air, fragile yet unbroken. Elena stood a few steps away, watching with tears that refused to fall. She couldn't decide whether to cry from joy or guilt, maybe both. Lily and Grace lingered near the doorway, unsure if they still belonged in the story now that it had found its ending. But then Anna looked up, her tired smile trembling. "Please don't go yet," she said softly. "You're part of a miracle." Grace's eyes widened. "Us?" Anna nodded. "You were angels when the world turned its back." Lily felt her throat tighten. "We just couldn't leave her there." Anna's gaze softened. "And that's what makes you different." She beckoned them closer. Grace hesitated, then walked forward, her small hand brushing the baby's tiny fingers. The child wrapped her fist around one of Grace's, holding tight. Lily watched, the connection, pure and simple. It was a kind of moment that didn't need words. Elena stepped beside Anna, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "She's beautiful," she whispered, "and she's finally where she belongs." Anna turned to her, eyes shimmering. "So are you." Elena blinked, confused. "You loved her when I couldn't," Anna continued. "That doesn't make you a thief. It makes you a mother, too." The room fell still, the kind of stillness that hums with peace. For the first time, Elena didn't flinch at forgiveness. It didn't erase what had been done, but it made space for something new, something real. Outside, a group of children ran past the window, laughing, their joy bright against the blue of the sea. Grace watched them with longing. Anna noticed. "Do you like it here, sweetheart?" Grace nodded shyly. "It's pretty and warm." Lily smiled faintly. "She means she hasn't seen a place this safe in a long time." Elena exchanged a look with Anna, a quiet understanding. "Where will you go now?" Elena asked. Lily hesitated. "I don't know. Maybe somewhere far. We've always just gone where the day takes us." Anna reached out, touching Lily's arm gently. "You shouldn't have to wonder anymore." Elena's eyes softened. "You saved a life, Lily. Let us return the kindness." Lily frowned, unsure. "You've already done enough." "No," Elena said firmly. "We can do more." The nun who had greeted them earlier approached, her smile kind. "We always need good hearts here at St. Mary's. Perhaps these two could help care for the little ones." Grace's face lit up instantly. "Really?" Lily looked at her, saw the spark of joy she hadn't seen in years, and something inside her melted. "You'd like that?" Grace nodded eagerly. "It would be like having a family again." Anna smiled, tears glinting in her lashes. "Then it's decided." Lily exhaled, a soft laugh escaping her. "Guess we're not going far after all." For the first time in forever, she felt still, not lost, not running, just home. That evening, as the sun began to sink, the sisters stood outside the orphanage gates. The harbor breeze brushed against their faces, carrying the scent of salt and hope. Grace leaned against Lily's shoulder. "Do you think everything happened for a reason?" Lily looked out at the horizon, where the sea met the sky in endless gold. "I used to think the world didn't care," she said softly. "But now I think maybe it just waits for us to care first." Grace smiled, pressing her head against her sister. "You're smart, you know that." Lily chuckled faintly. "No, just lucky." A car pulled up nearby, Elena's. She stepped out holding a small box. I almost forgot, she said, handing it to Lily. Inside were 2 silver pendants shaped like swans, identical to the emblem on the bracelet. One for each of you, Elena said. A reminder that you brought light back into a place that had lost it. Lily traced the pendant with her finger. We'll keep them safe. Elena smiled faintly. You already are safe. The sound of laughter drifted from the building. Anna's laughter mingled with her baby's tiny coos. It was a kind of sound that stitched broken things together. The day faded into evening. The sky turned lavender, and lights flickered on across the harbor. Lily looked up, whispering quietly, Mom, Dad, I think we finally found our place. If this story moved you, the narrator whispers tenderly, don't scroll past quietly. Tap like, not for me, but for the soul who carried this pain and still stayed kind. One click can be your way of saying, I felt you. The sisters stood there, hand in hand, watching the lights dance across the water. They had nothing when it began, no roof, no name, no hope. But now, they had everything that truly mattered. And sometimes, that's how miracles work. They find the ones who least expect them, and remind the world that love never really dies. Night had fully arrived over the harbor, soft and endless. The lamps outside St. Mary's cast halos of warm light onto the cobblestone path, where the sisters now sat beneath an old oak tree. The baby's laughter still floated faintly from inside the home, mingling with the hum of crickets and the rhythmic hush of waves. Grace leaned her head against Lily's shoulder, her voice a tired whisper. Do you think she'll remember us? Lily smiled faintly, watching the stars shimmer above. Maybe not in words, she said softly, but somewhere in her heart, she'll always know that someone out there loved her first. Grace closed her eyes. Then that's enough. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The world felt still, peaceful in a way they'd never known. Every struggle, every night under the rain, every moment they'd spent believing no one cared, it all seemed to have led here, to light, to purpose. The door creaked open behind them. Elena and Anna stepped out together, their silhouettes framed by the golden glow of the orphanage lights. They looked different now, not 2 women divided by pain, but 2 mothers bound by grace. Anna approached first, holding Emma close against her chest. The baby reached out, tiny fingers stretching toward Lily. Lily chuckled softly and brushed one of them with her fingertip. She likes you, Anna said. Lily smiled. I like her too. Elena's eyes glistened. You gave her back her life, but you also gave her something bigger, the chance to make things right. Grace looked up, curious. What will happen now? Anna answered gently. I'll raise her here for now, with help from the sisters, but she'll know her story, every bit of it. Elena nodded, and we'll help St. Mary's too. There are too many children who need what she got, a second chance. Grace grinned, tugging Lily's sleeve. Maybe we can help too. Lily turned to her sister, smiling through her tears. We already are. The harbor breeze brushed past them, carrying the smell of salt and fresh bread from somewhere down the road. A bell rang softly in the distance, a ship departing, a journey beginning. Lily turned to Anna. You know, she said quietly, when we found her, we thought saving her would change her life. But it changed ours instead. Anna's gaze softened. That's what love does. It heals everyone it touches, not just the one it saves. They stood there a while longer, 4 women connected by fate, each one carrying scars, each one carrying light. Eventually, Elena placed a gentle hand on Lily's shoulder. You'll stay here, won't you? Lily hesitated, looking up at the orphanage where Grace was already playing peekaboo with a laughing toddler. Yeah, she whispered. I think this is where we belong. Elena smiled, her voice trembling just slightly. Then maybe God knew what he was doing after all. Lily looked toward the horizon where the moon was rising, painting the sea silver. Maybe he always does, she murmured. They shared a quiet goodbye that didn't feel like an ending, more like a new chapter written by grace instead of grief. When Elena's car finally drove away, its taillights fading into the distance, Lily felt no sorrow, only peace. She turned back toward the orphanage, where Grace waved excitedly from the doorway. The swan-shaped pendant around her neck caught the moonlight, glinting like a promise. Lily touched her own pendant and smiled. They had once been beggars, two forgotten girls scraping through life. But now they were something else entirely. Saviors, sisters, survivors. They walked inside hand in hand. The warmth wrapped around them instantly. Laughter, candlelight, the faint lullaby of babies being rocked to sleep. In that sound, Lily heard her parents again, their voices, their kindness, their belief that goodness could live even in the hardest hearts. She whispered under her breath, "We did it, Mama. We kept love alive." Grace tugged her sleeve. "What did you say?" Lily smiled. "Nothing, Gracie. Just talking to angels." Outside, the moon climbed higher, casting its glow over the sea, the orphanage, and the tiny bracelet still resting on the windowsill, polished now, whole again. The letters EMA shimmered clearly under the silver light, no longer hidden, no longer lost. And somewhere beyond the horizon, a new dawn waited, the kind born not from comfort, but from courage. The narrator's voice settled softly, like a final heartbeat of the story. Life is a circle. Pain breaks us, truth heals us, and kindness completes us. If you ever find yourself in the dark, remember Lily and Grace. Remember that even those with nothing can give everything, and in doing so, become the miracle someone else prayed for. The screen fades to black. The sound of the baby's laughter lingers. Then, one last whisper, gentle, hopeful, human. Be kind, because you never know who's carrying the light that might one day save you.